Hey, my friend, welcome to the show today. I'm excited to introduce to you Vosh Tomanek. This conversation for you today, he's 25 years old, started a business a few years ago after working in the food delivery business, got fed up about one thing, got handed one book, and from that one book, it opened his mind to say, enough is enough. I'm excited to have you listen to this conversation. There's a number of things that him and I did not know about each other that I think you're going to get out of this conversation from a mindset standpoint about not just living your life and going after your passions, but also some key principles about business. I am always impressed with young entrepreneurs, and I just can't help but tell you that this young man is way beyond his years in his thinking and in his actions and how he shifts the world with the people that he works with. I hope you enjoy the show. Vosh, what's going on? Welcome to the show. How are you doing, my friend?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing incredible.
Awesome. Where are you joining us from today?
From the Czech Republic, which is a small country in Europe.
Yeah, it is long way away from where we are right here. So it's a good solid 8 hour difference from here in Las Vegas. So I think you're at the tail end of your work day today. Is that right?
Yeah, this is the last call. Very excited for this, and then I'm ready for dinner.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you put me in front of dinner. I know how that can be at the end of the day. Anyway, Vosh, you've got a very incredible background as a young entrepreneur. I think it's super interesting. And I know when we had a conversation a couple months ago, just my mind went back to when I was in my 20s starting my first business. But you've got a very interesting story, and it's not quite the same as mine, but you used to be in food delivery and I was in the fast food business before I made my
Nice.
switch. So tell us a little bit about what were you doing that right before you launched into the world of entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so I was back then at university because that's what I thought is the only way I will continue this journey. Um, because I never had entrepreneurs in my family, I never had big capital. So I always thought I would be an employee, but then I read a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, which I believe many listeners read, and that opened my eyes to what is possible.
Hmm.
And since then, I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but a lot of people want to be entrepreneurs, as myself back then, but don't really do anything for it. So, as to support myself at university, I would deliver food for Uber Eats, but
Hmm.
not in my car, on my bike. So, I was every day on my bike. 4 or 5 hours delivering food, so that was good exercise.
Awesome.
And there came a point where I truly realized, all right, I need to make this work because I saw the other delivery guys unhappy, not being wealthy, not couldn't afford, didn't afford the things they wanted for their families. So I said, this is the end. I need to start. And that's when I started my first business, when I made the decision to finally not just talk about it, but actually do it.
Hmm. And you were how old when you made that decision?
23.
23. Wow. And so how did you find out about the book Rich Dad Poor Dad?
That was quite random because I wasn't a big reader, especially because of school. I didn't want to read. But then my friend gave me this book, just, hey, you should read this. And I don't know why, but I was inclined to really read it. And since then, it developed this passion in reading. So, yeah, it was a good friend of mine who had some intention for me or got some guidance to
Yeah.
give me the book.
That's interesting. Sometimes you get advice from someone and you might take it, you might not take it, but I often find that great information is ready when the student is ready, right?
Hmm.
And so you must have been ready. And so that's first of all, I applaud you at 23 to not only read the book, but then to think about starting the business. So, what was one of your one or two big takeaways from the book that shifted your mind?
Honestly, there wasn't like any key moments because the whole book was just eye opener. It was almost I was living in this small box of possibility. Okay, you can get a good job and probably you would go within $5,000 a month within in your country. All right, that was my box. Like if I'm really good, this is what's possible. But the book, through the stories, through just the descriptions, show me the box of possibility is almost unlimited, and that just shows me stop limiting yourself. there is much more, and you could be much more than you are right now. So there
Hmm.
wasn't like one takeaway. There was more like just all the content and all the stories that opened my mind to possibility.
Yeah. So really interesting. You talk about the you were just limited to the box that you were aware of, and but a lot of people read that book and other similar books. Actually, by the way, it's one of my favorite books. I think I've got the whole
Hmm.
series behind me. Yeah, I've got the whole series behind me because I'm such a fan. Instrumental to almost any entrepreneur if you're not familiar with Kiyosaki's work. But a lot of people know about those books. A lot of people know of other books like it. What do you think it was for you that made you believe that the box that was your reality that the bigger box that had been presented was really a reality or could be a reality to you?
Yeah. And I truly believe that this opened my mind, but that doesn't really mean it will change my life, because it will still require my commitment. That's why for multiple months nothing was happening, even though my box was bigger. And that's what's happening for a lot of people, is they read books, they listen podcasts, which is incredible. But nowadays knowledge is so accessible. Knowledge used to be reserved for rich people, right? And there was just few books that were handwritten, so only the rich people could have it. But nowadays you can get anything on YouTube,
Yeah.
on podcasts, on in bookshelves. And I realize it's no longer about what you know, but it's about applying what you know. It's about the
Mm,
application.
mm,
And for what was needed for me to apply what I was reading was this fire inside of me. Almost I never want to sit on the bike again. I don't want to be working for somebody else. And this fire propelled me to take action on what I was learning. So
mm,
that's what the key moment. And I believe a lot of people are simply not taking action, and almost studying is like a procrastination. They
mm,
feel like they're productive,
mm.
but not much is happening. They're just feeding their brain, but not taking
Yeah.
any action.
Yeah. Well, you hit the whole thing. I used to say, we learned sometimes somewhere along the line that knowledge is power. And I started questioning that years ago. I'm like, no, applied knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And you just said it the same way, 100%. But you also said something else. Like, so I always find that um, a shift in people's lives come when they reach a point where enough is enough, right?
Hmm.
And you said just a moment ago, like, I didn't want to sit on that bike again, ever again, right? So it was just clear for you that you didn't have to go through a 20-year track of doing something you hated. You had gotten a couple of years into doing the bike thing and you're like, yeah, I'm not sure
Hmm.
this is not what it's cracked up to be, right? So what did you do first when you decided you were going to start a business? Like, how did you begin researching the process? We're going to get into the business that you have, but how'd you go about the implementation and application phase to get the business started?
Yeah, so first one, I had to have a goal, because if I had a goal to make millions of dollars, probably the business model would be different. So I first set a vision, and then I asked myself, okay, what's the best way to get there? If I have zero capital, very little experience, so I decided to do service-based business, because that would mean no warehouses, no employees in a way needed. All I need is a service that I can offer. And I realized the skill I had at least some experience was marketing. So what I decided is basically, okay, I'm going to offer marketing services. And I realized, okay, who needs it most? And back then I realized it was online stores. And I
Hmm.
wanted to go straight to United States because of the pay is higher and stuff like that. And then I asked myself, okay, how can I reach out to them in creative way when everybody else is sending generic emails? So I
Hmm.
started recording personalized videos to my potential customers. To every customer, I would send 4 minute video personalized to them,
A
and
four
that's how
minute video?
yeah, yeah, I sent
Oh, wow.
900.
That's outside the box.
Yeah, I sent 900 of them the first 3 months.
So first of all, everyone listening to this, that is, wow, man. You and I connected a couple months ago, and I thought you and I thought a lot alike. And if I jump back to my 20s, you wouldn't believe this, but one of the funniest things I did, which turned out to be one of the riskiest things I did, was to do something completely out of the box when I used to do direct mail. Now you're doing direct email, I was doing direct mail because this was a little bit before the internet really kicked off. So there, that shows the gap in our age, but not the gap in our thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, you took something that other people would have been like, why on earth are you sending a 4-minute video? Do you realize you could have sent 10,000 emails, but you chose to send 900? That's the
Exactly.
key. What made you decide to do that? Like what the distinction, I want to pick that apart really fast. Like, because when you got to the decision to do that, what was it that you thought you were going to accomplish differently by doing the 4-minute videos?
Three things. First of all, I'm different. Second of all, I'm getting better at camera, which is number one skill we could possess in nowadays. Because if you can speak on camera, it opens door to many things. And third, I'm improving my English because my English is not my first language. Back then, it
Mm.
wasn't as good as it's today. So I decided if I record video, that will teach me much more than sending generic emails.
Wow.
So these were the three reasons I decided to do this.
Gotcha. That's super intelligent. I mean, you're like, hey, three things. A, I'm gonna be different, and you are, because most people most people aren't opening their inbox with a video there. Um, and I've been a big believer in video since 2006, 7. So I know exactly what that looks like. Of course, a lot easier today than when I started doing it back in the day.
Okay.
What kind of business did you eventually start?
Yeah, so basically marketing agency
Okay.
for e-commerce stores, mainly
Okay.
fashion. In the United States, the business is still running till today. I
Nice.
just automated it, meaning hired CEO, hired these key people. So the
Gotcha.
business is still up and running, and it's been now almost 3 years.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So then, when did you get into? Tell me about your personal development journey out, because I'm assuming now you're reading a number of books. So Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, was that the first one of the first books you read? And then what subsequently has helped you along your entrepreneurial journey? What other authors or mentors?
Yeah, so I started reading a lot of books, but then as I realized, it's not about dabbling, reading 50 books, reading or listening 50 podcasts. It's about mastering. So I decided to just master two people who I knew that they have great impact, they have life I want to live, they've been in the game for long to be really expert at it. And these two people I decided to commit to. So one is Joe Dispenza and one is Tony Robbins. These two
Very
people, they
good.
just made sense to what they were teaching. I just resonated with them a ton. So I decided to commit to them. And basically, after 90 days, my business started to make $10,000 a month profit. I started investing everything back to myself.
Hmm.
Now I believe I invested over $400,000 in myself. So
Wow.
basically, I am such a believer in investing in myself that, yeah, I'm just investing to get more access. You know,
Nice.
next week I go to Joe Dispenza event in Vienna. Next month I fly to Colorado to his private event. I'm certified coach by Tony Robbins. So almost like I'm so in a healthy way. I don't know what's the English word, but obsessed in just
That's
getting
the right word.
better and just finding the fast track. But
Yeah.
not to chase. I love the journey. I love every day, but I also love to be on the fast track rather than the slow
Yeah.
track.
Yeah. But you've made some key decisions, right? So in my early 20s, first personal development book that I read was called Personal Power, written by
Tony
Anthony
Robbins.
Robbins. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So Dispenza, I just got turned on to just a few years ago, or should I say, I just crossed paths with Dispenza, and I think it was the book,
Becoming
something about
supernatural.
what's
Breaking
that?
the habit of being yourself.
Breaking the habit of being yourself.
Yeah.
Breaking the habit of being yourself. Yeah. So someone recommended that book, and I think I listened to that on an Audible on a trip to California, and then what's the newest one?
Becoming supernatural, right?
Becoming supernatural. I haven't finished that yet. Actually, I don't even know if I've started it yet, but so I've got that on my shelf as well. So I mean, two good decisions. And I think one of the things I like to highlight in things that I've seen similar in my journey is when and actually Anthony Robbins teaches this. I mean, you probably are aware of this and probably have heard him say it. And that is when you find someone who's doing what you want to do do whatever it takes to get as close to them as possible. Not in a way to your point of jealousy, envious, or it's like, let me get closer and figure out how to model what it is that they're doing with the way they think, the way they act, the way they move. It's like Kobe Bryant. And I don't know if you're familiar with American basketball, US
Yeah.
basketball, but Kobe Bryant modeled and studied MJ like it was like he was the only player on the planet. But it was because MJ was deemed the best in the game and he wanted to be the best in the game. So he didn't care about the other players. He understood them. He understood how to beat them and he studied them, but he really studied MJ. I'm a Lakers fan, so I'm obviously very passionate about how I think about Kobe and his rise to greatness and how he studied. But looks like you did the same thing. And so at 25 now, roughly, you have a couple of things going on. Tell everyone about Mindtrepreneur, which
Yeah.
I thought was super interesting when we connected. What's going on with Mindtrepreneur now
Yeah.
that the ecom marketing business is running self-sufficient?
Yeah. So basically, what started to happen is that the business started to be very profitable, very automated, and I was doing loads of personal development because I just believe that the business reflects your level of personal development. So as you upgrade yourself, the business naturally upgrades. So I just upgraded myself, the business started to grow, upgraded myself, the business grew again.
Yeah.
So I just continued that route, and people started messaging me, how come did you achieve so fast? It took me 10 years and you did it in 6 months. How come? Can you coach me? I was like,
Mhm.
interesting. So I just put some hourly rate, which was super low. And I said, sure.
Yeah.
We jump on a call and I realized none of them need strategies, like how to send better videos, how to do the marketing stuff, how to manage team. Like very rarely they needed this. 80% of it was the mindset part, the things I was working on myself, even the meditations I was doing. All of these things were the things they needed, and I gave it to them. They got great results finally. Then I basically partnered with my friend who was on similar journey. A lot of mindset guy as well believed in that, and we decided to launch my entrepreneur, which is the just mindset and entrepreneur together because we help entrepreneurs. And now, 2 years later, we have over 1,200 students from 60 countries. And yeah, that's my biggest passion that I focus on. And the whole goal is to help entrepreneurs grow their businesses, but at the same time also enjoy it, because a lot of entrepreneurs are stressed out, unfulfilled. And that's the last thing I want for them.
Gotcha. You are, how did you, it's so interesting. I mean, you not only built something that you enjoyed and then you figured out how to get out of the way of it, right? Which is just light years ahead of what most people do. Most entrepreneurs want to stay in the grind as long as possible. They find their identity in the work as opposed to understanding the pluses and minuses and the P&L business side of it. So it sounds like you got really clear on that quickly. And of course, you had some early mentorship around the programs of Tony Robbins and Joe Dispenza. But let me ask this question, and I'm going to go back to maybe some of how do you handle adversity in your businesses right now, or has it been so good, so streamlined that you really haven't had to encounter much adversity along this journey?
No, there is a lot of adversity. I also started my third business, that is software company, that I just sold last week, that basically was taking $40,000-$50,000 a month, and I didn't take any investors, so it was self-funded.
Hmm.
So there was some pressure on me as well. Like, okay, let's generate 50K profit just for this. Um, so basically, there was adversity, but I call it a challenge, meaning
Mm-hmm.
that basically I just know that the challenges will never go away because I will keep growing, and challenge is just something new or something I didn't expect,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
completely fine. So it's more how I view the situation, because a lot of people say, oh, I have this big problem. No, this is exciting. This is exciting because if a client leaves me, it's still incredible because I would do anything to have a client a year ago.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I always look at it from perspective is like it will just make me stronger, it will just get me better. And if I, let's say, hired somebody, it was terrible choice. I will hire probably another hundreds of people during my career. So I'm almost like, this guy probably saved me millions of dollars in the future
Hmm.
hires.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I never look at it like problem or like this terrible thing. I just know it's part of the game, and I played like a game. I leveled
Yeah.
up. Okay, new level, new challenges. Because a lot of people, again, I relate to video games, but a lot of people in video games, they level up to level 15. They don't want to be playing with level 1 anymore,
Two
right? That
people.
would be
Yeah. Level
boring.
two people, not anymore. Yeah.
Exactly. So basically, you want the challenge. You sometimes wants to quote unquote die, so you need to challenge yourself. But then
Yeah.
they come to business, they go to level 15, and all of a sudden they want level 1 problems. Not going to happen. So I
Oh, I
treat it
love
like a
that.
video game.
I love that. Say it again. They raise to level 15 and then they want level 1 problems. They don't want level 15 problems.
Exactly.
That was absolutely profound. That's probably the best way I've heard that, right? One of the I've heard over the last 20 something years, people will say on the outside looking in, "Oh, I wish I were in your shoes, did what you did, whatever the case." I'm like, you don't realize that, to your point, the challenges that come with wearing shoes as an entrepreneur. People think it's all the stuff that they see on Instagram and the travel and the trips and the lavish things and some of those things that some people choose to do. And that's all fine, what people do and how they promote it. But what they don't see is what it really takes. What happens when you're spending and you're burning 40 to 50K a month in cash, and it's your own cash. It's not some third party investor's cash, right? What were you trying to build, by the way? What were you, or what did you build with the software?
Yeah, it's a measuring software, we could say, for especially e-commerce businesses, online businesses, even coaches. So it tracks basically where the customer came from, which ad brought them, and stuff like that. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it was just recently, apologies, it was just recently sold. So I'm very very happy about it.
Okay.
Uh,
Your camera's kind of breaking up a little bit. I don't know.
yeah,
Let's take a quick
can
pause,
I
let it come
change
back.
camera? Can
Sure, sure.
can
Yeah,
you?
take a pause.
Sounds good. Sounds
Yeah,
good.
my team will cut. Yeah, we'll just figure it out.
Yeah,
So
because
Leah, Leah, right now for some reason, Vosh's camera is acting up. So we're going to take a pause here around the 21-minute mark
because
and cut this part out.
all the other cameras are off. I don't know. Do I need to rejoin or something? Let's see. Do I need to? Do you know if I need to rejoin because the other
You could,
cameras
you could
are not?
go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
I
go
will
ahead and
be
pop out
right
and pop
back.
back in. We're all good.
Apologies, I'm right back. All right, should be
So
good
it
to
looks
know.
like Riverside is still open in another tab on your side. It's telling me there's a warning. So can you look for that second uh, open
Should
Riverside and
be
close that one out?
should be closed now. Yeah. Now it's just this one.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Okay. So let me just backtrack on the software
Yeah.
question. Let's just pick that up where
Yeah,
that
of
was
course.
because it started popping out on you. So it's funny. I
No
started with
problem.
the camera problems, then it jumped over to you. So Vash, tell me about the software product that you built and sold.
Yes, so basically that's a measuring tool that helps e-commerce businesses, coaches, online businesses basically to track their advertising performance better. So that's the one that came again as a problem. I believe businesses should solve problems, and that was problem that arose in my first business, that it was harder to track. So that's what I started developing, and I've learned so many things about software. It's a very different ball game than my marketing agency with zero cost, even coaching business. This is where you need multiple coders. the development never ends. So it was a great lesson, and I'm so happy that we basically took it to the finish line for us, where we were able to sell it for profit.
Nice. Congratulations on that. And congratulations for, I mean, I always like to say service businesses are relatively easy. I've had 6 of them, so I know. Um, Product businesses, depending on where you come from and where your background is, I think you could argue that some people live in that world and just love it to death. But definitely getting into development, software engineering, it's definitely, you need a lot more players on the team. You got UI, you got, user path, you've got, so it's all of the things that come with it. So I haven't started a software, so I don't have that much experience in that, although we've helped some software companies grow with the work that we do. So I want you to talk to your. I want to jump you ahead. I've never asked this question ever to anyone. Jump ahead 20 years. Jump ahead 20 years, and talk to the 25-year-old Vosh about the journey that you are looking back on. What are you telling the 25-year-old Vosh? The 45-year-old Vosh is saying what to the 25-year-old guy? You're saying, hey, dude, what you did back then, what are you telling him?
I'm definitely telling him, Vaj, you are amazing. You know,
I love
like,
it.
like you're doing some, like you are doing things differently.
Oh, let's go.
Because
Let's go.
so many
Go
people
all
would,
in on that. Yes. Eat all that up.
so many people would say some sad thing or some regret thing or some life advice. I'm
I
just
wish I
like,
would have. No, you're a bad motherfucker.
you know, you know.
I love that, dude. You're doing something different. I love it.
Because I truly believe that, again, the way I show up is different. It's almost like people say, "Of, is it because you have success and a lot of material things and these needs are met that you're so happy?" No, I tell them it's the other way. I'm so happy. That's why I got the results. And I
Mm,
want to achieve my goals in joy, not in depression or desperation or these type of things. So I
yeah.
truly believe that at some level we are put on this planet to enjoy it. I always tell people I didn't have to buy a ticket to be here. It was
Yeah.
gift. It was given.
Yeah. Come
So
on.
let's have fun. Whatever fun means to you. To me, fun means build businesses, meet incredible people, have a lot of impact. That's fun. To somebody else, it could be they go to job for 6 hours in the afternoon, they play football with their friends. That's fun to them. That's okay. But I want everybody to just be happy. I see so many people on the street just unhappy, just walking, complaining. How are you doing? Oh, same old shit. I'm like, come on, come on. Nobody's doing this to you. You're not forced to be here.
Right.
It's a gift to be here.
Gotcha.
And that's my message, and that's why I would say you're amazing. You found a way, so just keep paving the way for others to step in your footsteps so their journey can be faster than yours.
Yeah, man, I tell you, that reminds me as to the conversation we had a couple of months ago. Actually, it was so funny because I get a lot of mindset inquiries about people wanting to be on the show. I mean, I get a lot of inquiries, in general. You have a podcast as well, so you know what that's like. But I'm always very careful to just understand a little bit of the thinking. And I think when we hit it off on that call, and then today you've been knocking it out of the park. I love it. You've been knocking it out of the park. And the funny thing is, I love what you said about the person who's complaining about their situation, right? I think back to when I was frustrated and I decided to leave the quote unquote corporate world, corporate job world, whatever you want to call it. And there was just a resonance in me that this wasn't it. And I was in a good spot. Like I wasn't sitting on a bike, delivering food. Not to say there's nothing wrong with that, but I had gone from being a fry cook to being a general manager of a restaurant. So technically, I'm in a good spot, right? I'm in a good spot. But I'm like, this can't be all it is. Like, this is just not it. So, and just like you said, I hadn't read Kiyosaki by that time, but that whole idea of could I see myself doing this for 30, 40? No, not gonna happen. So I love what you said. You tell the guy, dude, no one forcing you to do that. When you're coaching your community, by the way, you have a mastermind community. I believe you said you guys just did your, was it your first live event? You had 15 or so entrepreneurs at your first live event or live mastermind.
This
What was
was
that like?
already six. We did quite a few of them now recently,
Oh, okay.
and
Okay.
basically that's when we flew kind of the top students, we could say, together for 4 days, and that was just next level.
Nice, nice. So when you're coaching, what are the common, because I'm imagining your coaching clients are in or around the age that you are, yeah?
Yeah.
I want to draw a parallel because some people listening to this show are going to be Gen Xers like me. Some are going to be boomers, which is the generation before me. Some are going to be millennials. You're in the, is it the Gen Z category, right?
I think I'm
I,
millennial. I don't
Oh,
know.
you're millennial. Okay, who knows? Either case, but I want to draw a parallel between what it actually takes to succeed. And I think everyone listening to this, some people think, "Well, I don't have anything to learn from a 25-year-old. What could a 25-year-old teach me?" I'd want to learn from somebody who's older than me. And granted, we all want to do that, but I think success has principles that don't matter what age you are, what gender you are, what country you're from, what language you speak, what color your skin is. And I want to articulate that for anyone who's skeptical, and I want you to blow their mind, because what are the top three? I want you to think about the top three, um, whether it's personal development or entrepreneurial challenges that you see consistently showing up with your students and your coaching clients that you have to get them to overcome. And I bet you they're the same that I see in my world.
Yeah, so the top three, and I would like to go back to the age one because a lot of people always speak about age, right? Age, and they link age's experience. I'm
Correct.
like if somebody is in the banking industry sitting there in the office 30 years doing the same thing for 30 years, he has basically 1 year of experience than a guy who every day sits behind a computer doing new things, studying things, and maybe in 2 years, even though he's 25, he could be light years ahead. So
Right.
that's just always like I like to break these
No, you're right.
limiting
Let's
beliefs.
just go a little deeper on that because you're absolutely right. You can be a successful entrepreneur, quote unquote, but having done the same thing. So it's not whether you're on a job and doing the same thing, but to your point, years in a field don't add expertise to your resume. It adds time to your resume and nothing more. It's what you do in those years, right? So great point. So great point on the years of experience piece. But yeah, let's go jump into those top three areas.
Yeah. So top three areas people struggle with, especially if we talk about entrepreneurs. So if I really, really look at it, first one, they don't know what they truly want. They are not very specific. They say, I want to grow my business. All right.
Clarity.
Does,
So my
you know,
biggest one is clarity. You just said clarity.
yeah.
So mine are
Because,
three C's. Mine are three C's. You just hit the first one, which is clarity. We had not had this conversation. If you're listening to the show, him and I did not script this. My first one in my business is they lack clarity. What's your number two?
so that's the first one. Second one, what usually people now have is some limiting convictions or beliefs that are slowing them from getting there, you know?
My number two is confidence.
Same thing.
I don't know this guy, y'all. I promise you. We just had a quick Zoom call about 3 months ago. I'm just trying to articulate that success is simple. It's the same stuff. Anyway, so they don't have clarity of what they want. They have something in their way, a limiting belief, a construct. Talk about that.
Exactly. And I think along those lines, because maybe from childhood they believe that you can't make money without working hard, or nobody can do it better than you, which is again is going to limit you to hire people. So they have some these things that are slowing them down. Basically, that is not true, or is not supportive, or is not empowering. So that's a second thing I see among most people. And if I really thought about third one, which is more of the we could say the technical one is, especially today, people simply don't like plan, don't know how to be productive. They get just caught up in emails, messages, LinkedIn, Instagram, Slack, anything, meaning that the hours they invest in their business that moves the needle forward is so little compared to the hours they spend in the office. So they tell me, Vaj, I work 16 hours a day. I said, that's incredible for your ego. Amazing, man. I'm applauding you. But if I look at your calendar, if I look at your real work, you work 2 hours today.
Mm.
So almost the third thing is, once they have a clear vision, once we eliminate these beliefs, usually the third thing that gets in the way is that we just want to make sure they execute. They know how to get done in a day what most people do in a week. And that was, for me, the third thing I see.
So my third thing is capability. And I think you just circled the wagon on that, right?
Yeah.
They're executing the wrong things without efficiency, without a plan of attack. They're showing up, letting the day happen to them. They're opening their inbox and they're letting other people's agenda destroy their time and energy. And then they finish the day thinking, I worked so hard, but did you work on the things that mattered?
Exactly.
That's what I think I heard you say.
Yeah. Spot on.
Hey, y'all. I got chills right now just because I'm 53, he's 25, just about a 30-year difference. And I try to make this point over and over again. And Vosh, this conversation, I think, is going to do better than I thought it was going to do, because I think if nothing else, you've peeled back the layers of understanding that whether you're 50, 70, 20, the key principles remain the same. And the interesting part is, as humans, we were all given we have a belief system that brought us to wherever we are at the time that we are listening to this, or the time we decide to start our own businesses, or whatever that is. To your point, I love what you said earlier. Whatever fun is for you, whatever your life desires are for you, just get clear on it. It's not about comparing to what other persons do. But I love your thought process. You got around two people. I don't have as much affinity to Dr. Joe Dispenza because I just began to look at his work in recent years. But when I think about some of the most impactful things that I ever was taught in my 20s came from Tony Robbins, from Personal Power, from Awaken the Giant Within. Those two books were game changing for me. And that was a decade before I came across Kiyosaki's work. So, and it sounds like you tapped right into the same pool of thinking, and no wonder we hit it off. Now, I didn't know that when we talked the first time, so that explains a lot. Yeah. So listen, as we get ready to wrap up, I want to shout you out as an entrepreneur, because sometimes people can look at a success story like yours, and they could still think there was some sense of luck in it, timing in it. And I think some of those things play, but I think timing and luck only show up for the person who's willing to step into the unknown. So you can't be lucky and win the lottery if you don't play it, if that's your thing. Oh, I've never won the lottery. When did you buy your last ticket? Oh, I've never bought a ticket. Okay, so you can't look at someone on the outside if you haven't been willing to step in the arena, who's gone through the battle scars and gone through it. So I just want to shout out your journey, your thinking, your journey, your commitment, your, the way that you have worked on your mind and your personal development. I mean, I don't know. I've put a lot of money into my personal development over 30 years, but you said $400,000. I think you might have me beat. Yeah, you likely have me beat, and that's impressive because you're only, a few years into the game. So, congratulations on your decisions. Congratulations on your decisions to invest, your decision to start a business, and more importantly, your decision to not just take it all in for you, but to step into the opportunity to help others. That's one of the biggest blessings of all of it. Having a business that runs without you, great. Having a business that's automated, fine. It's all good. It's all great. But you found something that said, there's better fulfillment. There's more fulfillment than just making dollars over cents, right? So what would you say to the listeners? First of all, make sure everyone knows how to connect with you, where to find you online, and then give our listening audience one parting idea that they can be inspired by, or that they can leave from this and say, this was really worth their time listening, and make sure to let
Yeah.
them know where they can connect with you.
Yeah, so if they have any questions, just go to Vash Tomanek, which is VASH_TOMANEC on Instagram. There, shoot me a message. I will be happy to answer any questions. And the last message I want to truly leave is, how many podcast episodes do you need? How many more books do you need? How many more YouTube videos do you really, really need before you say, I have enough to start? Because you will never be 100% ready. And I don't want you to just listen another episode before taking action. And I know today we covered a lot of ground, and there is at least one thing I know for sure you can implement in your life. So I would love you to really think the next 5 minutes, what is one thing I could implement in my life, rather than just putting another episode on and just continuing with your day. I would love this episode to have finally impact, rather than just after it having a good dinner conversation about it.
Yeah, I heard this kid, and he's done all this stuff. No, what are you going to do? Vosh, man, thank you for
Exactly.
being here, man. Thanks for reaching out to us and connecting with us a few months ago. Thanks for spending some time with us today. Very impactful story, very just interesting mindset, diligence, dedication to really just do the work, and then continue, most importantly, working on you, which is where it all lives. Just a blessing. And I know you're going to do just ridiculous things. By the way, when you're 45, I'll be still around. Let's connect and let's see. I want to celebrate that conversation that you have with yourself looking back. That's pretty incredible.
Thank you for having me. It was an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely. Well, hey, listening audience, thank you for being here today, investing some time. Hopefully, you learned a couple of things from Vosh today. The point that I was trying to make earlier is that entrepreneurship is not simple, but the principles are very much the same, no matter what age you are, no matter what gender, race, nationality, where you were born, what economic background you came from. And I think Vosh did an excellent job of articulating that and pointing out those key principles to success. Wherever you are in your journey right now, we'd love to invite you into the Growth Driven Entrepreneur community. If you're not already there, head over to growthdrivenentrepreneur.com. If you've enjoyed today's episode, know someone who's anywhere from 25 to 55, where I'm at, or even older, and you want to share this episode with them, we'd invite you to do that as well. If you're not listening to the show on a regular basis, hit the follow button wherever you're listening to today's show, and we'll look forward to seeing you on another episode. If we haven't had a chance to meet, I'm your host, Daryl Evans, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Hit the subscribe button so you can become a part of the MindShift community. We'll help you shift your mind so you can shift your results.